Welcome to the Champions League show brought to you by Football Worldwide. My name is Bruno and I am joined by my beloved co-hosts. Anthony, how are you, mate?
Good, mate. Good to see you and good to see Jonathan as well. How are you, Jono?
Yeah, not bad, boys. Not bad. How good was this bloody match day, eh?
Lots of goals,
Fantastic match day. The dream team is back together. Without further ado, let's go straight into it because there are so many great matches to cover, great results, and some contentious decisions, which I'm sure we'll touch on. But first cab off the rank in Group A was PSG taking on RB Leipzig. It ended 2-2. RB Leipzig did miss a penalty as well, and it was their first point of this campaign. Jonathan, is the story about the RB Leipzig revival, or is it about PSG and what the hell is going on?
Pretty much that second point, PSG and what the hell is going on, mate. Boys, this team is not a team. I have absolutely no idea other than I actually feel sorry for their midfield and their back and their defense because the front three don't contribute at all when it comes to defense, and that's what pretty much puts them in the worst part of, conceding so many goals and all that. When you got three, pretty much 2 to 3 of your starting 11 that don't contribute in defense and all that, you're going to be conceding goals like no tomorrow, like they have been. To sum it up, RB Leipzig got the first goal. Nkunku's got a goal against his own team. Wijnaldum scores his first and second goal for PSG. Donnarumma saves a penalty in the 10-minute mark. But again, PSG are they're in shambles in defense. And to touch on what we mentioned during the week, Bruno, it'd almost be, bring back the fact that they're looking at discontinuing Sergio Ramos's contract now. That's the one place where they're lacking. So I wouldn't be doing that. But yeah, they're just an absolute shambles of a team. They're not a team. Simple as that. They're just not a team.
Yeah, look, I hear what you're saying, but let's go to one of the other favourites for this competition in Manchester City. They came off a 2-0 defeat at the hands of Crystal Palace on the weekend, and they've just recovered in phenomenal fashion. They scored 5 goals, 1 for Club Rouge, but it was the Manchester City show, 4-1, textbook effort. They've been criticised because they don't have a number 9. All 4 goals came from 4 different goal scorers. So it just shows under Pep, he gets his players in the right positions and they know exactly what to do on that front. But let's move on. So Group A is wrapped up. Manchester City reclaimed top spot with 9 points. PSG second with 8. Club Brugge third with 4. And RB Leipzig record their first point for the group stage. Before we move on to the next group, I just want to throw it to you, Anth. Is PSG safe just because of the simple fact that the group can't keep up with them?
Yeah, they'll be safe. They'll qualify, but they could get their asses handed to them in a knockout stage because they're going to finish second in the group. And if they finish second in the group, there's a lot of tough teams that they could come up against in the next round. They're going to have their work cut out for them. There's not much more else to say. You boys handled PSG pretty well. I just would have said the same about them. It's just very disappointing on all fronts.
Well, I will hand it straight back to you, Anth. Milan played at home. Like RB Leipzig, got their first point of the Champions League campaign, not in the form of a win, but in the form of a draw. And they weren't the ones to score the goals. Are they out?
Milan are most likely out of the Champions League. If you look at the ladder in that group, you'll just see that it's going to be very, very hard for them to come back. They got 1 competition point, whereas Liverpool are already through with 12. Porto have 5, Atletico have 4, and Milan have to play Atletico and Liverpool in the last 2 games. Now, Stefano Pioli and Milan will be asking themselves, do we want to sort of go down the route that Inter went last season in a sense that if you can't come second and qualify for the round of 16, you might as well cough up your Europa League spot as well, come last and focus on dominating domestically, especially if you're in a prerequisite position to do so. And Milan will be in that position. They're near the top of Serie A at the moment, and they probably will be there come December. So in that turn of events where there's that extra match day in Europe, they might see it as a luxury if they're only going for the Scudetto in Italy. In my opinion, they're out bottom of the group.
Yeah, look, I think the only place they can get is potentially above Porto, but Atletico Madrid are in dismal fashion. A comical red card, I gotta say. Jonathan, run us through the Liverpool Atletico fixture.
Yeah, this game was it pretty much almost was a carbon copy of the last one, other than the fact that Atletico didn't score this time. But yeah, Jota, 13th minute goal, beautiful, just cross from Alexander Arnold. You know what? You just got to give Liverpool credit where they're due. They're just a well-oiled, well-drilled team. Felipe sent off in the 37th minute, deliberate trip from behind. For me, you know, it's a bit of a hard one because although it wasn't, go, Bruno, what did you want to say?
So he wasn't sent off for tripping the player over. He was sent off because the referee asked him to come and he refused. And the ref just did not give a crap and just pulled out the red card.
Incorrect. That was what was they originally reported, that it was for the first yellow for the trip and second yellow for not coming. But then the FIFA match report after it came back that it was just for the trip, that he got a straight red card for it. That was what came out of the match reports from the FIFA, which I thought were the exact same thing as you, that he got the yellow and then the second yellow. But it was actually the fact that it was for the trip because they were saying it was a deliberate act, it was reckless and that type of thing, which, you know, it is what it is, I suppose. A bit harsh maybe, but what do you do? Yeah, Suarez scored but was taken off him for, I actually don't know what reason. It seemed to come off a defender, a Liverpool defender, and I missed that one in regards to why. But pretty much what I wanted to ask both you boys before we move on to the next one, Liverpool looking the goods. How close can they actually go to winning this competition?
They're my favorites to win the competition. I reckon they're the favorites, bro. They got the pedigree. Like any argument against them winning the competition now is illogical, apart from Bayern Munich's pedigree and maybe you could say City's flair. But until City actually break that hoodoo, I mean, we're going on 4 or 5 seasons in a row now where you could say City was supposed to be the best team going into the competition. But as long as Liverpool keep playing with this confidence, for me, they're the favorite to take out the whole tournament.
Yeah, I've got to replicate what Ant said, but I do stick by Liverpool are one injury away from their season collapsing, and we saw it last season with Van Dijk getting injured. Yes, he's their captain. Yes, he's pivotal in defense, but their midfield is as thin as it gets at the moment. They cannot afford another player missing international duty, especially missing a fixture, especially with the African Cup of Nations coming up, and they are going to be hit quite hard by the African players playing there. So it will be interesting. There's no Champions League in that fixture, but yeah, look, Liverpool definitely in their right place in the Champions League group, already qualified in first spot with 2 games remaining, in their right place in the Premier League. But look, I think we leave that one there. We'll go straight to Group C. Well, let me just recap the points for Group B. That is Liverpool 12, Porto 5, Atletico 4, and AC Milan finally get that point. Moving on to Group C, it was a game of some high scoring. It was a high scoring round in this fixture group here, especially with the repercussions coming through, and you could really say that you could see what was happening from the last match day. I will quickly cover the Sporting Besiktas fixture just because it really isn't much to say on that front there. They got they basically carved up Besiktas 4-0. There was a red card, but that did not come until the 90th minute, so it really had no implication on the actual result itself because overall it was already done and dusted. Jono, Dortmund, you thought, okay, that last game against Ajax was maybe a one-off. They're now at home. Hummels gets a red very early on in the piece, and it's basically copy-paste from matchday 3.
Yeah, but in saying that, what was the red card for? Because even VAR reviewed it, and I still don't know what it was for. They reckon he slid in and took him out, but you look at the replay, he didn't even collect with the player. So that was comical for me. I don't know what happened there whatsoever. Bellingham missed the open goal in the 8th minute. Keeper had come off the line to try to take care to smother Hazard. But yeah, that was the other thing. Bellingham got taken down in the box, 34th minute. Marco Reus scored the penalty. Then Ajax just decided to turn it on after in the second half, scoring their first from a cross. And then, geez, they just went to and fro. You know, they ended up scoring again in the 83rd and then in the 92nd. And I got to give a special mention to Anthony. He, mate, what an absolute player. He set up 2 goals and he's been absolutely brilliant for Ajax. I dare say the amount of coverage that he's been getting and how he's been playing in the Champions League, I dare say he might be having some bigger clubs come and knock on his door very soon.
Look,
don't forget Haller as well, who's on loan from West Ham. He's got 18 goals in 31 games since going on loan to Ajax. Guys, absolutely beasting it.
Yeah, look, and I was about to throw to you, Ant. We saw Ajax in the Champions League a couple of seasons ago, ending the likes of Barcelona, Juventus, and then falling short in the semi-final against Tottenham. It was that transfer window that decimated the team, with players like De Ligt leaving and joining other clubs. Is this coming full circle again? Are we going to see Ajax challenging and then just being ripped apart come transfer window?
They're still a couple of seasons off, in my opinion, being up to making like a semi-final, quarter-final spot. If they get to the quarters this year, well done to them. But when it comes down to, once again, stepping up that next little bit of quality, I think the gap is actually a little bit. The gulf is a little bit further this year around in the Champions League between that elite tier of clubs and that next tier of clubs. Like, to me, upsets are going to look like proper upsets this time around if they happen.
Yeah, definitely. And we'll leave that there. So Ajax, you could say, have already qualified on 12 points, 4 wins from 4 games. Dortmund on 6 points, as well as Sporting and Besiktas yet to register a goal. Not a goal, yet to register a point, that is. Let's move on to Group D, our favorite boys. I will quickly run I will quickly run through the Real Madrid fixture because it was copy and paste again from matchday 1, matchday 3. It was a bit of a worry come halftime where the scores were 1-1, but Benzema, his class, his pedigree comes through. He gets the double. Vinny Jr. gets the double assist, and you can tell that this partnership is one to be scared about when it comes to this league, you know. And come match day 5, they take on Sheriff, so they're looking to make amends following the loss to them. I will hand it to you, and to talk about the Inter Sheriff fixture. But just before you cover that, is this Real Madrid, the Real Madrid team we've seen? They're starting to get back into their formula, you know, with their backline completely disappearing. They've brought in some fantastic players. Are they finding their mojo? Are they going to make a deep Champions League push this season?
Once again, another one of those teams that might be made to look weaker against an opponent that they're not used to playing. They're just starting to gather form in La Liga, and there's still only 2 wins in their last 5 games. Expect them to still be inconsistent in La Liga. But as far as this group goes, they shouldn't have any problem topping it. They'll fancy themselves no matter who they play because, you know, they are Real Madrid, but they have lost a large part of their backbone and their culture in the dressing room with Sergio Ramos. I know they're still a big side. They're still a feared side, but they're going to take a lot to overcome the likes of Bayern or Liverpool or City in this Champions League, which I don't necessarily see them doing. However, I don't think any one of us 3 would be surprised if they somehow get to the final, because I'll tell you what, if they can get to the final, yeah, they'll be the favorite no matter who they're up against.
Yeah, definitely. And across to our boys, Inter Milan, they traveled to Moldova. They done the double over Sheriff. What do you take from this game? It was a very frustrating first half as a fan, and I've said it all season, they need to start taking their chances, because when we come up against the likes of Real Madrid, we're not going to get second, third or fourth chances like we did today.
No, we had too many chances in the first half, but we got the 6 points that were needed to stay alive in the tournament. You got to beat this minnow side. Big respect to them, but they are a minnow side at the end of the day. So we got the 6 points and good, like world-class game from Marcelo Brozovic. The kind of game in center midfield that makes you look at that and go, holy shit, if you don't lock this guy down to a contract, I'm pretty sure every single club in Europe is going to come for his signature. I'm talking Bayern Munich, I'm talking Real Madrid, every single Premier League club. This guy will be the most sought after free agent in the transfer market, and Tottenham as well. I actually have faith that he'll stay. Behind the scenes, as Inter fans, we know what sort of bond these players have in the dressing room, and there is a big, tight crew there. However, this is a business at the end of the day. This is football. You might as well chase that last big contract while you can. Me personally, I think Inter really should re-sign him. Other big performances today from players like, I was going to say Eden Dzeko didn't have a great performance for Inter today, but he has been burnt out a little bit. Barella looks very tired as well. But hey, not a clean sheet. 2 wins in a row in the Champions League, and now it's just all about beating Shakhtar. And if Real Madrid can beat Sheriff in the next game, hell, man, we're looking at the round of 16 for the first time since coming back in the competition.
That will be the dream. And just on that, Real Madrid in first place on 9 points. Inter, after 2 games, we're on 1 point. After 4 games, now on 7. Sheriff, after 2 games, we're on 6. After 4 games, we're still on 6. And Shakhtar, well, it looks like they're out. They're on 1 point. So it is a mountain to climb for Inter, but it is the mountain that is in their hands. Finally, a match day where they'll be able to, determine their own fate, unlike other seasons. But let's move on. Bayern Munich, they get the job done, and they do it in style, whether you like it or not. And this was no excuse. They defeated Benfica 5-2. Lewandowski, he got the hat-trick yet again. In my eyes, he should be a shoo-in for this Ballon d'Or this season. I don't know what the man has to do to get his name on that accolade. But yeah, I think we really don't need to say much. And I've said it with Jono many times on the European Weekly Catch-Up. When it comes to Bayern Munich, they're putting 5 away like it's a 1-0 win to them. They're just a goal-scoring machine. But Ant, I'll throw it across to you. Barcelona, we've seen the struggles. We saw Aguero being taken off before halftime in La Liga with chest problems and breathing difficulties. So he's out for a minimum of 3 months. They got the 1-0 win. They're on 6 points. But this Barcelona, are they as scary as anyone has ever seen before? Is this as lowly as a football fan? I've never seen a Barcelona so weak in my life.
Yeah, they'll probably go through to the next round by default, but they're going to get whacked in the round of 16. No matter who they come up against, they are going to get absolutely whacked. There's just not enough talent in the team. Simple as that. I was watching the last 20 minutes. I'm actually surprised Kiev didn't grab a goal. If you slapped another 10 minutes on the clock, Kiev probably would have scored. But yeah, they get the 1-0 result over the 2 legs, Barcelona. And from La Liga to the Champions League, they're relying on good players, but not spectacular players. I really like Ansu Fati. I think for the amount of pressure that's been thrust upon this kid's shoulders, he's really acting like it's no pressure at all. I'm sure it is affecting him in a lot of way, but I think he's handling it in a really mature sort of way. So big ups to him. Obviously, that midfielder Gavi has just got an amazing future, as long as Pedri as well. So they've got great players. Don't get me wrong. It's just the future's looking bright if they can build around them in the right positions with a good amount of experience. But today is not their day. This year is not their year.
Yeah, look, so we'll recap Group E. Bayern Munich, 4 games, 4 wins. They conceded their first 2 goals of this fixture, of the Champions League season in this fixture. So 17-2, not a bad goal difference there. Barcelona are on 6 points with 2 wins, with only 2 goals scored this whole campaign. Barcelona on 2 1-0 wins there. Benfica on 4 points. Dynamo Kiev on 1. Let's move on to one of the more exciting groups, and a group where first to last is separated by 4 points. Group F, Anthony, your beloved Ole. pull. I wouldn't say Ole pulled something out of a hat. It was more like Ronaldo pulled something out of a hat. But was it a fair result in the end?
Yeah, fair result in the end, considering how Atalanta was playing in the second half. It's just you can't give Manchester United that much space with 15, 20 minutes left. I think they just gassed it a little bit too quickly because, Gasperini, that's what he does in Europe, man. He really gathers his teams out. But they showed their quality in the first half. Two of my favorite players, Ilicic and Zapata, in the world, showing their class. I really like the decision. Even though as a United fan, I would have preferred if it didn't go that way. But I like the decision to give the goal to Zapata in the Champions League. You can't be splitting hairs in offsides like that. You need to give those goals. The sport is just plummeting downhill if you're not going to give those goals in the UEFA Champions League of all competitions. So well done there. But Cristiano Ronaldo, man, this guy is just ridiculous. At the end of the day, if you're not going to envy him, at least feel sorry for the pieces of furniture that he's got around him that seem to be doing the job. But on paper, they're supposed to be much better than pieces of furniture. I've said that time and time again. He's saving Ollie's job week in, week out. But if I'm not mistaken, it's Manchester Derby this week, and that could be a bad one for Manchester United, bro. But in the Champions League, on the other hand, that is a very, very competitive group, man. That group actually shifted positions during the match day, and you love to see that. I think the next group did that as well. But all in all, United, with the Atalanta game out of the way, should get enough points, 4 points minimum in the next two games to qualify over Villarreal and Young Boys.
Yeah, definitely. And Jono, Villarreal, they got the job done 2-0 against Young Boys. Was it just in and out for the Villarreal men? Nothing really too special to talk about there?
Yeah, look, they've been a bit hot and cold in La Liga this season as well. But it was nice to see them, they've been performing not too bad in the Champions League. So, yeah, pretty much in and out. Not too much to mention there other than that. The, 2 goals that they scored, one in first half, one late in the second half, and that's pretty much it. Young Boys, thanks for coming.
Yeah, and they seem to be the team that's making up the numbers this season in that group there. Group F, as it stands, Manchester United and Villarreal both on 7 points, Atalanta on 5, and Young Boys on 3. So still anyone's game, still anyone to come last. And it will be extremely interesting how we proceed. So moving on into what I would call the most competitive group of the competition so far, with this match day throwing. If you looked at the live ladder, and you alluded to it, it was just changing. Teams were all over the place this entire fixture, and it was interesting and very well warranted. But we have a look and see at the fixtures here, and Sevilla versus Lille. The French champs have not done much in France, but managed to get the job done in Spain. What do you have to say about that?
It didn't look like it was going to go their way for half an hour. Sevilla came out of the gates busting, man, with the possession, with the passes and everything. It was just one of those games that really tipped on its head. And as I was looking at the ladder, I'm like, Sevilla finally going to break away and make it to the round of 16 again and maybe have a couple of years renaissance. Man, it wouldn't surprise me if Sevilla finished third and are straight back into their favorite competition of all time, the Europa League, and they go and win that as well, man. But that group, you're right, it's very, very, very competitive. It shifted about 3 times during the match day, and it could shift again. Red Bull, I really think that they'll go on to top the group. Just a lot more skill, and I feel like in terms of all the teams there, they've got more consistency carrying domestically into the Champions League, whereas the other teams in that group are struggling a little bit domestically, a few hiccups and a few rough fixtures. Red Bull usually pump the Austrian league, and they lead it by something like 12 points at the moment. They haven't dropped a game yet this season, so expect their confidence in Austria to take them through in the group. They're my pick anyway, out of the tight group for them to go through.
And Jono, Wolfsburg, we've talked about them a bit in the European Weekly Catch-Up. We were fortunate enough to have their manager was replaced just recently, and they came out of the gate and they defeated Salzburg, got the 2-1 win. Is this Wolfsburg team going to cause any problems for this group?
Not particularly for the group, but it was good to see, obviously, after Van Bommel had been replaced, that, Wolfsburg came out very strong, scoring in the 3rd minute, and their second goal was in the 60th. So other than that, they were performing quite well at the beginning of the Bundesliga season. They might be there now just to make the numbers in regards to Bundesliga, and then where they are sitting in the Champions League at the moment, they're tied on 5 points with Lille. And like Anthony mentioned, this group is just crazy. Like, to think that this group is going, all teams are changing positions during those games. Yesterday, it was just, it's unreal to see. It's something I actually haven't seen for a while, to be honest.
Yeah, so as the boys alluded to, Group G, Salzburg in first place on 7 points, although they did cop the L. Lille and Wolfsburg share second place with 5 points, and Sevilla in a lowly fourth place, recording their first loss of the campaign on 3 points. Let's move on to Group H, our final group. Anthony, Juventus, 4 games, 4 wins, 9 goals for, 2 against. They're already through to the next round. But are they going to be causing a ruckus? Based on domestic form, I wouldn't say they're anywhere near where they should be. They just seem to have gotten a fantastic group to run right over.
Yeah, they've gotten an easy group, but as the longer that the season goes on and the longer they're away from winning the Italian league title, you wouldn't want to come up against them in a knockout game, that's for sure. Like, you really would not want to come up against Allegri, Chiellini, and them over 2 legs. They'll be able to grind out those 1-0s like no tomorrow. This game, they were a little bit more liberal with the goal scoring. They're better players on the score sheet. But as an Inter fan, they can come first in that group, because that would take Chelsea out of the equation. In a hypothetical scenario that Inter finishes second in their group, Inter cannot play an Italian team that finishes first. And therefore, if Chelsea finish second in that group, would take Chelsea out of our pot for the round of 16. So, yeah, that result's fine with me.
Yeah, look, and we will move on to the current Premier League leaders. Chelsea winning 1-0 away to Malmo. Ziyech getting the goal in the 56th minute. Look, I assumed in our last Champions League show, when Werner and Lukaku both were taken off injured, that there'd be problems, and they've proven me far from right. They've won their last 3, and I think they've banged in 11 goals, with only 1 coming from this game here. So they recorded 22 shots compared to Malmo's 4, but they just never looked any problems there. Look, boys, Group H, our final group as it stands. Juventus, perfect start, 4 wins, 12 points. Chelsea second, with their only loss coming at the hands of Juventus on 9 points. Zenit on 3, and Malmo conceded 12, scored 0. Look, I will throw it to you, Jonna. Anything you want to say about this match day?
Just to segue onto that last game, Chelsea and Malmo, they were never in threat, Chelsea, even though, like you mentioned, they only had 4 shots. Malmo, none of them were on target, and even though they only won 1-0 at the end of the day, they were never troubled. But look, exciting match day. I'm looking forward to what the next one, as that's when some of the crunch time is going to happen with a lot of these teams that are still trying to solidify themselves in first or second place to make it to the knockout stages. So it'll be interesting. But domestic league back on this weekend, we'll see how a lot of these teams back up as well. Some of them traveling far, and there are some big games on in a lot of the leagues this weekend, just to mention the Milan Derby and then also the Manchester Derby as well in the EPL. So it'll be interesting.
11:30 Saturday night for all of our Sydney and Australian residences. The nice early fixture. So prime time for us, finally, not 3 a.m. on a Monday morning. So that's something to look forward to. Champions League is not returning for some time. We're about to go into international break, with match day 5 commencing on the 24th of November. So there won't be any domestic fixtures following this weekend's league. Anthony, surprise package. Jonathan alluded to it. Next match day is the all-important match day to determine a lot of results for a lot of teams. I want to throw it to your 2 teams. Inter, do they get the win over Schalke?
I think so. I actually
and
think
United.
United play Villarreal or Young Boys.
Either one. Do they get through?
Yeah, because it'll be at Old Trafford. I think the next 2 games at home should be good enough. I'll probably end up eating my words, but I wouldn't be much of a fan here if I didn't at least back them both at home to win at match day 5.
Yes, definitely. Look, guys, it is always a pleasure having you. Thank you for watching Football Worldwide. Don't forget to like and subscribe. You will find weekly episodes of Everything EPL hosted by Mo, Serie A Roundtable hosted by Anthony, European Weekly Catch-Up hosted by Jonathan and myself. We will be having an episode of The Conversation Starter coming out in the coming days. Just to keep this content going during international break, we will have a couple of special episodes of European Weekly Catch-Up where we will discuss how teams and tables are looking across Europe. We will be looking to pull in Anth onto that one. So love to have his input there. But guys, thank you for joining me. Jonathan, always a pleasure.
Always. Ciao.
And Anthony, thank you as always.
Ciao.